The state of Qatar is a tiny nation in the Arabian Peninsula, itself a smaller peninsula that juts out into the Persian Gulf. It's about to become the centre of global attention as it hosts one of the largest sporting events in the entire planet, the FIFA World Cup. And while there is more than some speculation around the reasons why Qatar was awarded the event, the country itself lays largely unknown and unexplored to the wider global community. Let's look at it. What is Qatar? Qatar is small, both in terms of area and population. The entire country could fit comfortably inside the south of England, and traversing the length of it would be comfortable for most London-based office workers as a commute. Its population of around 2.7 million puts it roughly side by side with Chicago, USA. Qatar is a semi-constitutional monarchy, and their head of state is an emir, their head of government a prime minister. They use the Qatari rial, drive on the right, and have Arabic as their official language. The flag of Qatar is rather unique. This one has the wrong proportions, as the official flag is a lot longer than most of us might be used to. The design is very similar to neighbouring Bahrain, except Qatar's has more points, and instead of representing a religious aspect of the country, Qatar's represents a geographical one. The 9 points represents Qatar's position as one of the 9 emirates of the Persian Gulf at the time it was designed. The colour is also quite unique. Qatar maroon, as it is known, has been used for a long time in the region, as the availability of shellfish in the Persian Gulf has allowed this colour of dye to be produced, a tradition they represent in their flag today. Cool! The capital of Qatar is Doha, and it is home to a majority of the country's population. This city is centred around the harbour, a quite shallow harbour, but a harbour. Other settlements in the country are dotted around according to the availability of fresh drinking water. With the average rainfall in Qatar being around 75mm compared to the UK's 875, water is understandably a majorly precious resource. Today, water isn't the defining natural resource of the country, however. Oil is, and the state of Qatar finds itself as one of the 4 mega-rich and influential states in the Arabian Peninsula. Saudi Arabia stands centre stage in this theatre, but there are no small parts, and Qatar, Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates all have staggering amounts of influence and wealth for their size. This comes primarily from fossil fuel resources. Qatar's exports are almost 80% petroleum-based products, which backs up the fact that it has access to 12% of the global resource of oil reserves, and it's put these resources to work, generating a GDP per capita of $121,000 US. That's the 4th largest in the world, and larger than the USA and the UK. It also boasts that not a single one of its citizens lives below the poverty line. That's quite an achievement, but made less so when you realise that only 12% of its 2.7 million are actually native Qatari citizens. 12%. To put that into perspective, roughly 10% of the population of the UK are foreign citizens, so there's almost the reverse situation happening there. The remaining 88% of Qatar's population are mostly made up of temporary migrant workers, and the treatment of these people is one of the most controversial things that has surrounded the award of the World Cup to this country. The migrant worker population has given Qatar a staggering gender imbalance, as strict religious laws mean that women in Qatar are forbidden from most types of work. Qatar makes use of this migrant labour quite often, as local Qatari citizens have a standard of living that puts them above most of the world, making it difficult for lower paying but highly skilled jobs like these to be filled. Reports suggest that 30,000 people have been brought in just to quickly finish construction projects in time for the 2022 Qatar World Cup, and these workers have been placed in workers' camps, and the conditions in which they work are not ideal, to say the least. There are other videos which cover the corruption and the conditions in which these workers are placed in. HITC7s has one, and Johnny Harris has one as well. Watch those if you want a more in-depth more deep dive into that subject. Qatar had to build a lot of stadiums and accommodation for this tournament, as there were not enough facilities at the time when it was awarded. For example, the number of hotel rooms needed to house fans, officials and teams and players and all sorts of staff that needed to create this World Cup still outnumber the amount actually available in the country. They can't provide everyone with places to stay. So fans and staff and players and teams need to go to neighbouring countries, perhaps for the first time in the history of the World Cup. This tournament might be overshadowed by the migrant worker situation, as well as other human rights abuses present in Qatar, not to mention the accusations of corruption and the successful bid. More than accusations. But the country itself is undeniably very interesting to watch as a geographer. Qatar, as a country, has grown extremely quickly on the back of massive resource exploitation and has reached a level that seems almost futuristic to other parts of the world. A tiny nation whose wealth outstrips some of the largest players on the world stage. What's next for Qatar? Will this international spotlight be the engine for change in the country, allowing Qatari women and LGBTQ+ citizens more freedom in their own country? Or will the pressure for this change move on with the football teams? Only time will tell. Thanks for watching.